stickers, Teddy is immediately like, no, don't buy them because we can go get our own free stickers to take. But also, an interesting thing comparing to the puzzles is that we all immediately assumed there was like a certain max points of how you could build a house. Like you had to have every floor just be one card. And at the very end, Teddy was like, why don't we just cut the cards in half and double the number of floors? And like, no one here thought that there was, we immediately assumed that there was that limit to the maximum.
Good point. How many people came up to me and said, can I damage the cards? Anurag did. Okay, a bunch of people came up to me. Right, Blaze, you did. Did you guys end up cutting the cards? Did anyone end up cutting the cards? I've seen this done where people like cut the cards in lots of pieces and just keep stacking them up. Did anyone think of bending the cards or folding the cards or cutting them? In fact, I have some people in some teams who make new cards. They just get red and black paper and just start, making new red and black cards. The fact is, when is a rule, and when is a rule a suggestion? There are only a very number of limited rules that are on that sheet of paper. And we so often frame problems in such a tight way that we limit ourselves. You guys push the limits in a lot of ways, but you could have pushed it further. You could have cut these in half and made it twice as long. And then there wasn't a limit. You could have kept cutting, right? Because what is the definition of a card? Yeah.
At some point, since I couldn't say too much, we were discussing about some.
And you did a very good job doing that.
I said that the only thing that you had stressed was that we couldn't interact with them, but that was the only rule we couldn't question or reframe. But everything else you hadn't said anything about, and then they just started branching out.
Right. Yes.
Funny because I get that if you had given like anything else with cards, I would have thought about cutting them, but like for me, like cards, like we've been playing with cards like for like so long. For us, like a card is a card, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Right. I think like, if you had given that like post-it or whatever, we would have cut the post-its, for example, you know.
But it kind of felt like it was a unit that couldn't be challenged. Yeah. But it was an interesting thing that we so often get sort of locked into imagining what the digestible unit is. Yeah. Okay, and that's a really, really good point. Is that breaking things apart? This is really important, especially as we go into this next project, to think this way. Yeah.
So I have a question kind of for Peggy, and I don't think that was today. But so when we got to stuff like, well, let's just put the deck, just have the deck together, just as a deck, or let's do this, or cut the cards in half. I started to get afraid because we were pushing boundaries. I mean, we'd already done that. We all combined and we did all this crazy stuff. But then I started to worry, well, what if Tina does this, or what if the rules change? How do you deal with that kind of professionally? You can say, well, we want to push the boundaries, but we also don't want the client to come back and say, what did you do?
Well, the way to get around that is you push the boundaries and you show them 3 ideas that are way out there, and then you show them something in the middle and something that's safe. And it discourages them from going over the same conclusion. That's usually what we do.
Just in terms of like cutting the cards and things like that,